A very good morning to Inche Khairul Aznam. I am Darmin from DKM 3D. My metric number is 01DKM 19F1169. I am here to explain about my case study about professional ethics. This is my first case study. Introduction to my case study 1. Engineer A is employed by large industrial companies involved in large scale jobs in defense projects. The duties of Engineer A are given in connection with the work of subcontractors, including reviewing the adequacy and acceptance of plans for material provided by subcontractors. While carrying out this work, Engineer A advised his superior office by making a memorandum on the problems he encountered with certain submissions from one of the subcontractors and urging management to reject the job and asking the subcontractors to rectify the shortcomings he outlined. Management rejects Engineer A's comments, especially his suggestion that certain subcontractor will be redesigned due to Engineer A's claims that subcontractors' submissions represent excessive costs and time delays. After further exchange of memorandums between Engineer A and his management and ongoing disputes between Engineer A and management on the issues he raised, management placed a critical memorandum in its personal file, then placed it on trial for 3 months with further notation that if his work performance does not improve, he will be laid off. Engineer A further asserted that his employer was obliged to ensure that the subcontractor delivered the equipment in accordance with the specifications as he interpreted the same, thus saving the considerable defense cost. He has requested an ethical review and determination of the appropriateness of his actions and the level of ethical responsibility of the engineer in such situation. Next is discussion for case study 1. Responsibility. A sense of moral responsibility and forward looking is a sense in which a person is responsible for achieving good result in some things. The idea is the one is entrusted to achieve or maintain this result, and it is hoped that both of them have relevant knowledge and skills as well as make a careful effort. However, despite the best efforts, the result may not be achievable. For example, a responsible doctor patient can die, and the work of responsible engineer can result in an accident because the accident is unpredictable. If possible to compensate for the cause of the accident or because others do not want to heed the engineering's warnings. A sense of moral responsibility and backwardness is the where a person or group deserves a ethical assessment of an action or outcome. One who is quick to receive moral praise for a good outcome or a bad blame. A sense of moral responsibility cannot be confused with a sense of cause and effect responsibility for some existing or past circumstance. Although when a moral agent is responsible for a result, that is the reason to think that the agent is morally responsible for it. However, causal responsibility is not definitive proof of moral responsibility. If one's action bring bad result only because of bad luck in form of an accident, then one is not morally responsible for the result. Future responsibility is often determined in terms of outcome to be achieved rather than the action to be taken. Consideration is required to know what actions will achieve certain outcomes. Such practical wisdom is not required to fulfill the many obligations that are often determined in terms of action to be taken or to be avoided. For example, contrast the responsibility of engineers for the safety of the public with the obligations of citizens to testify when witnessing a crime. Note that the obligations will never be used in a responsible way is referring to one's welfare. That is, you will not say that the person is obligated, although you may say that he is responsible. Last one is conclusion of case study 1. Engineer A does not have an ethical obligations to continue his effort to secure a change in the policy of his employer under these circumstances, or to report his concerns to proper authority, but has an ethical right to do so as a matter of personal conscience. These are the reference I took from online to do this case study 1. This is my second case study about professional ethics. Introduction to case study 2. Engineer Sarina left firm A and goes to work for firm B, a competitor. A project on which Engineer Sarina was in responsibly charged was virtually completed, but Engineer Sarina did not sign or seal the construction document before leaving firm A's employment. Engineer Tan, a principal in firm A, requested Engineer Sarina to sign and seal the drawing. Engineer Sarina refused to sign or seal the constructions documents unless firm A pays Engineer Sarina an additional fee. Next is discussion for case study 2. The duty of engineers to be responsible for professional services is the basic ethical principle contained in the NSPE Code of Ethics. In general, engineers as professionals have a responsibility to assume responsibility for the professional services performed by them or under their direct personal supervision, depending on the nature of the work and other requirements. These may include work done for the benefit of the client, design work, reports, plans, specifications, and work completed by the engineer who will be submitted to public authority for approval. Engineers who work for one firm and then move to another firm are not exempt from this professional responsibility. The work they did for their previous employer was no less, also because they no longer had a direct relationship with the company. Once a professional provides professional services on behalf of the client, the professional must ensure that the work is done in a responsible and professional manner, and that the client's interests are protected and safeguarded. This situation can be very sensitive where an engineer leaves the company to work with a competitor company. This issue has been discussed by BER on many occasions. However, the fact that the two companies are in direct competition should not assume the responsibility of the engineer to take responsibility for the job and take appropriate measure in interest of the client. It seems that it is not just an ethical act but also an action that suits the interest of all parties, including the interest of the new firm employed by the current engineer. It is not entirely clear from the facts to what extent the work was completed by Engineer Sarina. However, it can be assumed by the fact and the use of term almost completed that the work was completed in almost all respects and only a few ministerial details still have to carry out. On the basis, it can be assumed that Engineer Tan will not be asking to conduct a complete or detailed review of the job, as it can be assumed that Engineer Sarina is already very familiar with the job on the project for which he has been and continues to be responsible. Moreover, it does not appear under the fact that because Engineer Sarina was not employed by the original firm, at the time he was asked to sign and close the photograph, that he would violate the ethical claims contained in the NSPE Codes of Ethics. The last one is conclusion for case study 2. We are concerned with Engineer Sarina's professional attitude regarding the firm's request for him to sign and close the photograph. While we believe Engineer Sarina may be entitled to a small fee for additional professional treatment for his former employer, and as part of his responsibilities to his new company, we are shocked by Engineer Sarina's refusal to sign and close the photographs except to pay additional compensations. As we have discussed before, because Engineer Sarina is responsible for the job and has direct control and professional oversight of the job, Engineer Sarina has as a professional obligation to sign the work regardless of how the compensation problem is solved. It is unclear whether competition pressure between firms may be a factor in Engineer Sarina's position, but such a factor cannot occur in this type of problem by signing and closing photos. Assuming we are in this case, the Engineer Sarina is fully responsible for the job and has direct control and professional supervision over the job. Engineer Tan is clearly allowed to ask Engineer Sarina to sign and seal the document in question. These are the link I use as reference to do this case study too. This is my third case study about professional ethics. Introduction to case study 3. Engineer Alice practicing in Ohio requires the service of a structural engineer in New York. Engineer Alice contacts secretary, who is the secretary of the New York Society of Professional Engineers, to request the name of an appropriate engineer in New York to perform the required structural engineering work. Secretary suggests Engineer Anna, who Engineer Alice then decides to retain. Not satisfied with the services provided by Engineer Anna, including Engineer Anna's lack of regular communication with Engineer Alice, Engineer Alice later contacts Secretary and tells Secretary of his general dissatisfaction with Engineer Anna, but does not first communicate this displeasure to Engineer Anna. Engineer Alice also remarks to Secretary that he is interested in retaining the services of another structural engineer for the project. Soon thereafter, Engineer Anna contacts Engineer Alice and expresses his strong displeasure toward Engineer Alice for the comments he made to Secretary. Next is discussion of case study 3. In general, the NSPE Code of Ethics places an obligation on all engineers to respect the reputation of all other engineers in their professional endeavors. Engineers should be honest and direct in their communication with their colleagues in all professional matters. Often, individual engineers have professional and business relationships with their professional counterparts that require the use of appropriate judgment and discretion. The Board of Ethics has not the opportunity to deal with any type of case specifically explained in the facts presented in this matter. the issue of public criticism by other engineer, but his statement is very different in the case. As the board understood the facts, Engineer Alice needed the service of a structural engineer in another jurisdiction and sought the advice of a college in that jurisdiction, the secretary. This is entirely appropriate and certainly not contrary to the code. It seems the only action that Engineer Alice can question is when faced with the unsatisfactory professional performance of the secretary. Engineer Alice pays attention to this fact to the secretary, while Engineer Alice's communication with the secretary may be appropriate method of providing feedback. Engineer Alice should also direct comments about Engineer Anna to Engineer Anna. If Engineer Alice has difficulty communicating with Engineer Anna, she will be probably explore other avenues of relationship. Perhaps frustrated by the inability to receive a response from Engineer Anna, Engineer Alice deliberately made her views known to the secretary to make a fuss on Engineer Anna. Next to another question, we do not believe the secretary was involved in improper action. First, based on the facts, we assume that Engineer Alice told Engineer Anna in good faith and did not know any history from Engineer Anna on the act of fraud. Second, based on the facts, we do not believe the secretary's disclosure to Engineer Anna about Engineer Alice's dissatisfaction is a violation of engineers' belief in Alice. In fact, as we already know, there seems to be some indication that Engineer Alice meant secretary to make Engineer Alice unhappy, known to Engineer Anna. While the facts do not provide enough detail, we believe the Engineer Anna has a professional responsibility to communicate more directly to Engineer Alice about the status of the project. However, we do not believe Engineer Anna's action violate the code of ethics. Finally, although it seems the Engineer Anna is advised to improve practice, the facts of the case do not indicate the engineer Anna's unethical. The last one is conclusion for case 33. A large number of employees come to work with the intention of doing a good job and are proud of what they do. This makes them interested in what the organization is doing and what it has planned for the future. There is not much more frustrating for employees than finding out about a big new initiative either through someone outside the organization or by watching the 6 o'clock news. I have both of these example going on. That doesn't make leadership bad, but it just means they often need help figuring out how to communicate and put in place system and process to do a better job. Too often employees do not feel confident or involved in any decision making process. Sandy Edward, senior vice president of AMA Enterprise, said in a media statement, especially when it comes to the organization's business strategy or plans for the future. These are the reference I took